Welcome back to Nightly Nonsense. I'm here again with my good friend and buddy, Robbie. Now, listen, Robbie, we were all done recording, and I asked you a question, and then you started pontificating, right? So, listen, did a whole bunch of things with Mel in the middle on Christian something. So, I want to bring this topic up. You brought up Christian gambling. There's not enough gambling.
Yeah, there's not enough gambling. And yes, I know you're probably looking like this. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Let your Baptist senses work here. Your super Baptist senses. So here's the thing: we need to wager everything we have on Jesus. Where's the guts that I'm gonna put everything I have on Him? Like, you know what? You know what? That's fine. You can kick me where it counts. I'm going to keep going forward. I'm putting everything that I have, my house, my life, my children, on Jesus Christ. You don't even wager. Like, people don't. Some people call that a gambling problem. I call that a gambling solution. Because, and in this life is, you're not willing to, put your money on anything. Anymore.
So you just blew the minds of 95% of the people listening. Like, they're promoting gambling. They're telling us to gamble, right? I think by now everybody got your concept, right? That we need to put everything on Jesus, right? It is easy to do that when we are desperate in nature, right? It is easier to do that when we just got diagnosed with this and our relationships are falling apart. We lost our job, all those things. And then we're like, oh, I'm all in on Jesus because I needed to fix stuff. Tell me how we do that when we're not in a desperate, really state of life. How do we gamble? How do we put everything on Jesus when life is good?
Well, because at the end of the day, it's all going to decay anyways, even including the knowledge that we have right now. 1 Corinthians 13 is quite clear on that. Even the words of knowledge will fade away. I love my children. And this is actually, I was taking care of a guy at a nursing home. He was 90-something years old. I asked you this question about a couple weeks ago. Would you ever, and I love you, Tim, over here, and you're going to get this, but if Timothy died, would you ever forget the way he died? And the answer is no. Well, I asked a gentleman this question. I don't even know why I did this. But maybe it's for this moment that I can teach this. I asked him, how did your daughter die? And he's like, I have no idea. You know what that example is knowledge fading away. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of parts that are going to throw away. My house will decay. My kids will someday have to face Jesus. So will me and my wife. By the way, when we get to heaven, we're still going to know our spouses. Our love will actually be made complete.
See, now you just blew 95% of people's minds on that as well, Robbie. But again, all right. So you got some people, maybe one or two people are listening and going, all right, Robbie, I want this Christian gambling thing, right? How do we start? How do we start putting everything on Jesus?
Well, number one, you go to your hands and knees. You got to let everything go. You know what? This house falls apart, fine. Business, this thing falls apart, fine. Job falls apart, fine. I'm willing, because it says the Son of Man will have no head. Will have no place to rest, quote unquote. Nowhere to lay his head.
Right.
You have to realize this thing right here, I'm willing to let it go. I'm going to follow the voice of Jesus Christ. I want to be part of the flock. Mm-hmm. We don't have to sit there and give up every penny that we own, necessarily. Mm-hmm. But you throw it all into Jesus, though. It's Jesus Christ where, to go. Because you do have people that house people. Mm-hmm. You have, somebody, that's just what they do. Your elders, they're supposed to house the widows and the orphans. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, you know what, but that belongs to Jesus.
All right, so we got some people out there who are looking at it saying, okay, Robbie, listen, I'll give the dog, I'll give the cat, I'll give my kids because I can't do anything with them anyway. But I'm not giving my spouse, I'm not giving my bank account, I'm not going to give my job, I'm not going to give certain things to Jesus, right? I'm not gambling everything. I'm going to gamble safely, right? I have friends that when they go to the casino, they have a roll of quarters limit. They leave their purse, everything in the car. They take a roll of quarters and they're like, this is it. This is how I safely gamble, right? It can only do this. God doesn't want us to safely gamble with him, does he?
No, and here's my response to it is, my response to that person there is, you're lukewarm and he's going to sit there and spit you out.
There you go. So I love that. I hope that people listen to that because that's what you're aiming for right there. All right, so how do we look at the things that we love most in life? You've got 3 lovely children. Saw 2 of them today, right? You have a lovely wife. You talk about her all the time. I know that you love her deeply, right? How do you Christian gamble with your wife and kids?
Well, it's being in lockstep with Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You pray without ceasing. You're in lockstep, and you know what? God, Jesus gave them to me, and you have to give them back to them. You make sure that they have a relationship with Jesus on their own, so you'll see them again. That's how you give them back because you want them in lockstep with the Holy Spirit, with Jesus, rather than just hanging on to something that's just going to decay.
All right, so let me wrap this up by asking you the hard questions. You ready?
Yes.
Because I know that we've done this for years, so I can do this, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so God looks down and says, Robbie, I want your wife. Are you giving your wife to God?
Yes.
Okay? So again, most people would say, yeah, I'll get that. What if God looked down and said, Robbie, I'm taking your wife away from you and I'm bringing her to me?
You know what? It's going to really hurt, but you know what? Jesus, it's completely okay. It's completely okay. It is yours. Hey, you take them home. What's another 60 seasons until I see her, if not even sooner?
Oh, see. All right. That's a fantastic answer. Let me leave this nightly nonsense there. Let me do my best Robbie impression. You ready? Robbie normally says something like, guys, I love you, right? But he challenges you. He challenges his listeners. And we want to challenge you tonight to understand this. There's a but, right? Guys, I love you, but if you're not all in on Jesus, if you're not willing to give everything to Jesus, then what Robbie just said a few minutes ago, super relevant. Then you're in danger. You're in danger because you're lukewarm. You're saying to God, like, I'm hot in these areas, but I'm cold in these areas. And that puts you lukewarm in nature, right? People don't want lukewarm baths. They don't want lukewarm food. They want lukewarm anything, and neither does God. So you need to purpose in your heart to be all in. Go through that list of stuff. If you need some help, grab somebody like Robbie loves on Facebook and stuff to communicate with people. Grab somebody so they can help me go through the list of things that I need to give to Jesus, and have somebody challenge you. Like, hey, you look like you're 99% there, but have you given this? Have you given this last little tiny area over to Jesus so that he can do something with it? We don't want you in the lake of fire. We don't want you spending eternity without Jesus. We want you to be with Jesus. So Robbie brought up a great topic. This is something that will stick with me for the next few days, and just talking about Christian gambling, right? Is it something that you're willing to do, or have you been so taught gambling's wrong that you're not even willing to think about it? Hey, thanks to Robbie for being here again with me. We'll see you again next time. Nightly Nonsense.